Oh boy, can't wait to get started on this OVA series. I bet it's gonna be great!
He's taken Yuki.
Let her go. Her blood is tainted by the devil.
Stay here and look after your sister.
You're my wife. Obey me. I say let her go.
Look in my eyes and say,
Hey guys, the Black Critic Guy, and I'm here today to review the anime OVA series, Doomed Megalopolis. Isn't that just a lovely face? Now, Doomed Megalopolis takes place in early 20th century Japan when an evil spirit named Kato, this lovely bastard right here, attempts to destroy the city of Tokyo by awakening the spirit of Masakado, this vengeful spirit that's also the protector of Tokyo. I'll go into detail about that a little later on. So he attempts to wake the spirit up through various tactics, but is confronted by spiritual warriors out to stop his nefarious plans. Now, I believe this DVD with the most handsome face on the cover, don't you all agree, was sent to me about a year ago by one of my subscribers by the name of Bionicle Anime. And originally, I was planning on doing a cringe theater video for this, but after being so impressed by the first episode and the complete lack of things for me to react to in the series itself, I decided against the cringe theater and instead opted to do a full-on review when I finished the entire series. And so I watched all 4 episodes of this old OVA series, and what do I think about it? Well, let's begin. The animation for 1992 was very good and visually interesting, and I expect no less from one of the best animation studios in the industry, Madhouse. That's right, Madhouse did the animation for Doomed Megalopolis, and it clearly shows. I quite enjoyed some of the creative techniques used in the series, such as Kato's attack where his hand moves forward in the foreground as his body shrinks in the background, or the use of color, mainly reds and purples, a very distinct look. And the animators did a splendid job at delivering the spooks, as there's a lot of creepy imagery scattered throughout the series that will make you squirm. One that really got to me was in the first episode where Mr. Friendzone gets attacked by all these evil spirits and kind of sinks into the ground. Especially that one part where one of them goes into his ear and it looked like a centipede. Ugh, it gave me goosebumps. The first episode of the series was fantastic. It did a superb job at drawing my attention and sucking me into its world. It had a near perfect atmosphere that gave you chills. It was unsettling and haunting, with many frights to be had. The story was quite fascinating to me. There was an air of mystery to it that had me hooked instantaneously, and I was ready to see where the story was going and where it would take me. The conflict was enticing, especially between the evil spirit Kato and that one priest guy who I refer to as the Dark Santa Claus Priest for his brown skin and long flowing white beard. It was a battle of spiritual strength and wit that I thought was going to carry on throughout the entire series. And lastly, in regards to the first episode, I quite enjoyed the characters initially. They had great potential to them, with some of them showcasing some dark, rich backstories that can add to the complexities of these characters and have dire consequences later down the road. I could not wait to see what direction this series would take next. So it was quite unfortunate to find out that the series would take a downhill direction after the first episode. What a shame. After the first episode, just the first freaking episode, the series starts falling apart at the seams. Any goodwill that it earned was quickly spent, as the next 3 episodes were a frustration to sit through, and here's why. The first of many atrocities that Doomed Megalopolis commits is that it kills off arguably its best character minutes into the second episode in the stupidest way possible, and worst of all, it didn't even need to happen that way. There was a great setup to where the character could have met their demise at the hands of Kato at the end of episode 1. And it would have been a great, fitting, and noble send-off for this character, dying in service to fighting off the forces of evil. But no, the character ends up surviving that altercation. Now my problem isn't the fact that the character survives. In fact, I was quite happy that the character survives so that I could see the character bounce back up and fight Kato once more. But mere seconds after discovering the character survives, the character commits suicide. So what the hell was the point in bringing the character back if you're just gonna kill the character off again? And it doesn't serve any real purpose to the story or the characters. It's not like you see the characters' reactions to the character dying. There's no reactions at all. The character's in a secluded room, stabs their chest, and just bleeds all out. You should have just killed the character off at the end of the first episode. It would have been a better way for this character to go instead of dying such a pathetic and unnecessary death. Next, the story. Much like everything else in this OVA series, it started off with so much promise. It was actually enthralling. I was curious to see what direction it was going to take. But as the series went on, it just turned out to be incredibly boring.
Excuse me, Mr. BCG, but saying that something is boring is not a valid criticism to why an anime is terrible. You have to explain why it's boring. You can't just say it's boring.
Fine, you want me to explain how it's boring? I'll gladly do that. First of all, it's painfully repetitive and predictable. Every episode is basically the same thing. You can sum it up like this. Oh, hey, spirit of Masakado, I brought you this virgin girl as a human sacrifice. Would you kindly, wake up, please? Nope. Oh, hey, spirit of Masakado, you remember that virgin girl that I brought the last time? Well, this time I brought the daughter of that virgin girl. So how about you wake up now? Nope. Oh, okay, well, what if I wake up the dragon that lives underground and causes the earth to quake? Would you wake up now? Oh, okay, well, what if I crash the moon into the earth? Will you wake up now? I said no! God fucking damn it, take a hint already! I'm not interested in you, go the fuck away! Every single fucking episode is about the evil spirit Kato finding a new way to awaken the spirit of Masakado and failing each and every time. I honestly was waiting at the end of each episode for him to say, Team Kato is blasting off again! And just like the antics of Team Rocket, the story became annoyingly predictable. And because of the repetitiveness and predictability of each story, that leads to number 2, a lack of tension. Since there's no weight to any of the characters or situations and you already know what the outcome is going to be, there's just no vested interest into what is happening on screen. Why should you care? And so you're so disengaged to the entirety of the story that it just bores you. I mean, there's no twists, there's no big reveals, there's nothing that really captivates you or blows your mind, just like in the first episode. You know what's gonna happen. You know every single beat. And when you know every single thing that's about to happen, it's not riveting anymore. It's boring at that point. It's like walking into a haunted house already knowing what, when, and where all the scares are. You're not gonna be surprised by the scares. You're not gonna find them scary or thrilling. You're just gonna yawn at them because you already knew it was coming anyway. But it's not just the story that's at fault here. The characters are as well. Or should I say lack thereof, because while there are people, there are individuals in this OVA series, they lack the very thing that's supposed to describe them. Character. These characters are flat, one-dimensional, irritating as hell, and incredibly unlikable. I was so surprised at how I didn't care about a single one of them. None of them got any sympathy from me, and that could be due to the fact that none of them ever go through any worthwhile development to where we kind of understand the inner workings of the characters, get a sense of their personalities, who they are, what their charms and all that stuff is. You get none of that. Not only that, we don't ever see them form any strong bonds, connections, or even have any strong chemistry with other characters. Their relationships are all one note, just like themselves. Like, the first pairing that you see in the anime, it's this one girl that's kind of crazy, and then Mr. Friendzone. And I thought, okay, well, this is the main relationship that we're going to follow throughout the series, right? Wrong! That's the only episode that you ever see them really bonding with each other. In the next 3 episodes, they barely spend any time with each other, and Mr. Friendzone is completely useless. He's just running around screaming people's names and not really helping with any situation. In fact, sometimes he makes the situation worse. They should have either killed off Mr. Friendzone or give him some worthwhile development. Maybe even give him a character arc where he starts off as the wimpy guy that's always crying for the main girl's attention, and then he grows into a strong-willed man after all the experiences that he went through. We get none of that. We get nothing. He just remains the same character throughout. Stagnant. And then there's the main girl. I say it like that because at first it seemed like the character was going to play a pivotal role in the story and go through tremendous growth and change as the series went on. But she just ends up being a MacGuffin, a device to push the story forward while lacking any sort of characterization herself. Like, really, what can you say about this character? She's nice at the beginning, then she kinda sorta turns crazy near the end, and that's about it. That's all you can say about her character. But she's not sympathetic, she's not likable, you learn nothing about the character, all you really know is about some part of her past, which really isn't about her past, but it's about her brother's past. All she really is a device to push the story forward. And the same thing goes for her stupid ass daughter. She's nothing more than a MacGuffin to push the story forward. She has no characterization either. Like mother, like daughter. But in my opinion, the worst character of them all is the brother of the main girl. And the reason for this is not only for his reprehensible and outright despicable behavior throughout the series, but also because he's the only character that we are given some insight to. We actually see a bit of his backstory. We get an understanding of this character, and it's poorly executed. I mean, I don't know what they were trying to do by showcasing his backstory. Were they trying to make him come off as sympathetic? Were they trying to shine some light on the character? The only thing that it really shows is how the character has not changed since he was a little kid. He's still a reprehensible douchebag. I honestly thought that they showed us this particular backstory in order to highlight the dark complexities that reside in the brother character, as well as shining some light on the mysteries regarding the little sister slash main girl. And they do the latter, but they don't do the former. I also thought that they showed us the backstory in order to see the character reminiscing about the past and feeling regrets, feeling guilty, feeling remorseful for his actions, and seeing him kind of change throughout the series to become a better person. Nope! I was giving the anime way too much credit there. It's just so painful because out of all the characters, the brother character had the potential to be the most well-developed and interesting character. In the end, he just turned out to be the most disgusting character of them all, and the one that you hate the most by the end. And I didn't even touch on the fact that 1, he tried to kill his little sister when they were younger, and 2, years later, he rapes her in her most vulnerable moment. And this is supposed to be a character we're supposed to be sympathetic towards? We're supposed to care about him? Fuck that guy! Honestly! And finally, the last episode was an abysmal train wreck. You could clearly tell that the creators just ran out of ideas and said to themselves, you know what, fuck it. Who really cares about this series? Nobody's watching, nobody cares how this story wraps up. You know what, let's just spew out whatever comes to mind and see what sticks. And the thing is, it got so ridiculous that I just completely checked out of it. I did not care what was happening at all in the last episode. I'm like, you know what? This has just become way too ludicrous, and I can't believe I'm saying that about a series where an evil spirit comes back to awaken the spirit of Masakado in order to destroy the city of Tokyo. Yet I can buy that, but what's happening in this last episode? Totally ludicrous. I can't believe it whatsoever. I do not buy it. There's so many Deus Ex Machinas coming left and right. Things are happening out of nowhere. Nothing really gets resolved with some of the things, and it's a fucking mess. That's how I can describe the last episode. It's a fucking mess. And with that added with the scientific jargon that they throw at us in the 4th episode, I mean, were they trying to turn the audience away? Were they trying to irritate us? Like, seriously. They could not care less. So overall, Doomed Megalopolis is a very fitting title for this series, as it's a doomed piece of work. It's a complete and utter failure. The first episode was great, but everything else just sucked, and it's just an easily forgettable anime OVA series. Don't waste your time watching it, it's not worth it. But as always, guys, I'm not the end-all be-all opinion when it comes to Doomed Megalopolis. I would love to know what you guys thought of this OVA series, if you have seen it. Do you overall enjoy it? Is it one of your favorite OVA series to watch? Do you find it memorable, haunting, scary? Or do you find it boring, dull, repetitive, you just couldn't get into it? And let me know! What is the creepiest spirit you've ever seen in either a movie, TV show, or anime? Comment below, let me know, and stay tuned, I got some reviews coming your way. Hopefully a Netflix review, a top 10 list, and I do plan to watch Jigsaw this weekend because I'm a huge Saw fan. I want to see what they're going to do with this next installment. Please be good, 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 please be good. And I hope Tobin Bell's in it too, because love me some Tobin Bell. And I'm actually considering watching Saw the final chapter, the supposed last installment of the series before this new one came out, and I want to kind of rant about it because it's just god awful. You know what? I just might do that because it is that bad and I want to talk about it. So stay tuned for that, and I also want to take this time to thank each and every one of the patrons who donated to my Patreon account. Their names are being listed right here, and if you would like to help this channel stay afloat and generously give to the Black Critic Guy, please consider donating to my Patreon account. There's a link in the description to it. And as always, guys, if you'd like to see more videos on the channel, be a part of the Black Critic Crew, please hit that subscribe button below, like this video if you really enjoyed it, and I'm Tony Wallace II, the Black Critic Guy. Till then, peace, YouTube.
Werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky, scary. Boys becoming men, men becoming wolf. Werewolf bar mitzvah, spooky.